My wife walked through the front door one evening and said, I'm scheduling a reversal. My ex wants to have a baby with me. And just like that, the air left the room. I looked at her, this woman I'd shared 13 years of marriage and 15 years of life with, and realized she wasn't joking. I said calmly, follow your heart. Then I went to my office, filed for divorce, and secured every shared account we had. 2 hours after her procedure, her lawyer called me. My name is Jason Miller, and I truly believed our marriage was built on solid ground. From day one, we had both agreed, no children. Ever. 5 years later, she had a medical procedure to make sure of it. I drove her to the clinic myself, took care of her afterward, and we built a peaceful life together. No chaos, no crying, no college funds. Just us, a quiet condo overlooking the park, 2 vacations every year, and a plan for early retirement. Until 3 Wednesdays ago. Dinner was simple: pasta, tomato salad, wine, and the soft creak of the balcony floor beneath us. Lauren twirled her fork, sighed, and said, Blake messaged me. He wants a baby with me. I blinked. And you're telling me this because, she said, because I'm thinking about having my reversal. I want to try. My fork froze midair. Come again. She said he realized he made a mistake. We've been talking for a couple of months. He wants a family. I stared at her. You've been messaging your ex for months? She nodded. Just catching up. Nothing physical. I asked, so you want to leave me for Blake? She shook her head. No. Blake's between projects. He can't do this alone. But we could. We could raise the baby together. I waited for the punchline. None came. You want me to help raise your ex's child? She smiled faintly. He'd still be around, just not financially. More like a fun uncle who brings paints and guitars. I said, a fun uncle who's the biological father is not an uncle, Lauren. He's the father. She waved her hand. You're making it weird. Modern families look different now. This could be something beautiful. Blake's creative, sensitive. He'd bring new energy into our lives. I said, Lauren, we agreed, no kids. You had surgery to make that permanent. She said, people change, Jason. I'm allowed to change my mind. I said, yes, but you're not allowed to bring another man's baby into our home and expect me to pay for it. She said, our home, our money, our marriage. That's when I realized my name was already penciled into the payer section of her dream. So I repeated, follow your heart, Lauren. Her eyes softened. So you'll think about it? I said, no. I mean, go do whatever you want, and I'll do what I need to do. The next morning, she was up early, laptop open, searching clinics, reviews, financing options. By lunchtime, she had a quote, $9,000 for a private procedure. She slid the paper toward me and said, they need your signature to confirm the date. I said, I'm not paying for this. She said, it's joint money. I said, it's your project with Blake. You can fund it. An hour later, her sister Megan called. Are you really refusing to help Lauren with her medical care? I said, this isn't treatment. It's elective surgery so she can have another man's baby. Megan said, she's your wife. You're supposed to support her. I said, support doesn't mean pay for her affairs, baby. Lauren withdrew funds from her retirement account, furious that I forced her hand. Meanwhile, I hired an attorney, Daniel Grant, calm and deliberate. He said, get her to confirm everything in writing. Stay neutral. So that night I texted, just to confirm, your plan is to have a reversal to conceive a child with Blake, and you expect me to help raise and financially support that child in our home. She replied, yes, we're a team. You told me to follow my heart. I answered, I'm not part of that plan. She wrote back, don't be cruel. By Friday, she'd booked the surgery, private clinic, expedited schedule, paid in full. And 2 hours after she went under the knife, her attorney called mine. That's when I knew the woman I married was gone, replaced by someone who thought betrayal could be disguised as modern love. Thursday morning, she was humming while packing an overnight bag. She said it so casually, like she was just going to brunch. Blake's driving me tomorrow. He wants to be there. I looked up from my coffee. How noble of him. She sighed. Don't start. This isn't about us anymore. This is about creating life. You'll love the baby once they're here. You'll see. Friday came. I didn't go to the office. I worked from home instead. At exactly 9 a.m., after confirming she'd checked into the clinic, I executed my plan. Filed for divorce citing irreconcilable differences. Requested temporary freezes on our joint accounts during proceedings. Redirected my salary to a new personal account. Canceled joint credit cards where I was the primary holder. Updated beneficiaries so everything reflected reality, not illusion. 2 hours later, my phone rang. Unknown number, smooth professional tone. Mr. Miller? This is Alicia Cross, your wife's attorney. Can you explain what you just did? I replied, calm as ever, filed for divorce and put in place standard financial protections. She said, your wife is currently in post-op recovery. You froze her access while she's lying in a hospital gown. I said, the timing's unfortunate. The decision was made when she chose to start a family with another man using our money. A long pause, then we'll be in touch. Controlling finances like this could be seen as abuse. That same day, Lauren's social media post went live. My body, my choice. Women shouldn't be punished for creating life. The comments were a battlefield. Her friends rallied with heart emojis, mine read between the lines. My buddy Max message, didn't she just go back to her ex? Minutes later, the post vanished after someone commented, wait, is this about Blake? The same Blake who dumped her for that 22-year-old. 2 weeks later, the real war began. She retained Alicia full-time and sent over a legal wish list. 5 years of alimony, the house, half my retirement, reimbursement for her reversal surgery, and most absurd of all, future child support for children that don't even exist. My attorney, Daniel Grant, actually chuckled. Creative, he said, but not how reality works. We countered with a fair split. She keeps her income, no alimony since she's employed, standard division of assets, and she keeps her personal loans. Alicia fired back, accusing me of financial manipulation and reproductive coercion. Irony at its finest, considering she had surgery to reproduce with someone else. Mediation got scheduled for Thursday, 2 p.m. at our lawyer's conference room. Lauren walked in with Blake in tow. He's here for emotional support, she announced. The mediator asked, is there any legal reason for Mr. Harmon to be present? She smiled. He's my partner now. I asked, since when? Since I refused to bankroll your ex's baby. Alicia interrupted. My client was left with no emotional or financial support after Mr. Miller withdrew from the marriage. I replied, I withdrew from funding another man's family. There's a difference. For 2 hours, the discussion looped in circles. Lauren insisted she needed the house for the babies. I said, what babies? She answered, we're trying. They'll exist. Blake nodded along like one of those bobblehead dolls. Finally, the mediator turned to her and asked, Mrs. Miller, are you seeking financial support from Mr. Miller while planning children with Mr. Harmon? Lauren crossed her arms. Children deserve support regardless of biology. The mediator smiled thinly. Then perhaps Mr. Harmon should provide it. Blake muttered, my art isn't about money. The silence that followed could have frozen glass. No agreement was reached. Grant filed to expedite the divorce on grounds of irreconcilable differences and abandonment of the marital covenant. Meanwhile, Lauren and Blake moved into my house. The same house bought years before our marriage, only my name on the deed. I was crashing at my brother's spare room, still paying the mortgage. Then a text from my neighbor. Hey, just so you know, Blake's moving your furniture around. An unemployed artist redecorating my home. Perfect. Then came the next stunt. She changed the locks and filed a restraining order. Saturday, I went to pick up my clothes. Blake shouted through the door, you're not welcome here, bro. I said, it's my house. He said, Lauren lives here. You abandoned her. I said, I'm calling the police. He smirked, go ahead. Tell them how you financially abused her. When the officers showed up, they looked exhausted, like they'd seen this movie too many times. They listened, glanced at the paperwork, and said, Sir, this looks like a civil dispute. You'll have to settle it in court. And Blake? He stood in the doorway smirking, like a man who thought he'd won a prize, not realizing he was moving into a war zone financed by the man he tried to replace. The day my wife tried to build a family with her ex, when the police officer said, "Sir, this sounds like a civil issue. Handle it in court." I realized just how far things had gone. Blake stood behind him in the doorway with that smug half-smile, like he'd already won. But by Monday, my attorney, Grant, had filed for emergency exclusive possession of the house, and the judge put it on the calendar for Wednesday. Then, Tuesday night, I got served. Lauren, my wife, accused me of harassment, threats, financial control, and even claimed I was stopping her from starting a family. Grant just sighed and said, "This is classic. She's building a narrative. Wants to look like the victim before court." Wednesday came fast, and the courtroom felt like a circus. Lauren walked in wearing a maternity dress, though her stomach was still flat, one hand resting dramatically on it like she was protecting a life that didn't even exist yet. Her lawyer, Alicia, stood up first. "Your Honor, this man has been economically terrorizing a woman simply trying to fulfill her maternal destiny." Maternal destiny. That's what she called it. I almost laughed, but Grant came prepared. He presented the house deed with only my name on it, bank statements proving she'd borrowed $10,000 against her own retirement to fund Blake's art career, and even security footage from the neighbors showing Blake moving in weeks ago. Then the judge turned to her. "Mrs. Miller, are you pregnant?" Lauren smiled like she was giving an interview. "Not yet, but hopefully soon." The judge's brow lifted. "With Mr. Harmon's child?" "While still married to Mr. Miller." And she said, "He abandoned me emotionally. He refused to help raise another man's child. That's not a husband." There was a long, heavy silence. Then the judge finally spoke. "Request for restraining order denied. Mr. Miller retains exclusive residence. You have 48 hours to vacate." Lauren's composure shattered. She stood, voice echoing across the courtroom. "This is discrimination. I have rights." The judge didn't even look up. "You have the right to continue your relationship with Mr. Harmon somewhere else." Friday was moving day. I hired 2 off-duty officers, best $400 I've ever spent. By 8 in the morning, Lauren and Blake rolled up in a rented truck, followed by her sister Megan, her mother Betty, and, for some reason, Blake's mother, who stormed out of the car screaming, "You're throwing my son into the street." I looked at her and said, "Your 38-year-old son who's been sleeping with my wife?" "Yes, ma'am. I'm clearly the problem here." As they hauled boxes out, Lauren put on a full performance for the cameras, sobbing, shaking her head, wiping invisible tears. Blake tried to lift my flat-screen TV until one of the officers stepped forward. "Sir, put the television down." He did. Then Megan started in. "Lauren needs furniture for her new place. Let her take the set." I crossed my arms. "Then she can buy some." Megan snapped back. "With what? You froze everything." "She's got a job," I said, "and her artist boyfriend can figure out the rest." Betty whipped out her phone, recording everything. "This is what financial abuse looks like," she muttered. That's when Grant, my attorney, who had dropped by to watch, calmly held up the deed. Premarital asset. He owes her nothing on it. Then came the real explosion. Lauren reached for my grandmother's antique dining set. "We picked this together," she insisted. "I need it for the babies." "What babies?" I asked. "You just had surgery." "Future babies," she snapped. "Blake's babies, you mean?" I said quietly. "There's no our here anymore, Lauren. It's you and Blake. Leave the furniture." Her tears turned angry. "You're cruel. I wasted 15 years on you." "Strange way to describe a marriage you're walking out of," I told her. Blake puffed up, trying to look intimidating. "Show some respect, man." "You're taking my wife and trying to take my TV," I said. "You've got all the respect you're getting." By 2 o'clock, the truck rolled off, half empty. Most of what they wanted was legally mine. Lauren's last words before leaving were, "You'll regret this. You'll die alone." I told her, better that than raising Blake's kids. 3 days later, the fallout started. They'd moved in with Megan, and apparently it was already chaos. Megan called me late that night, exhausted, her tone completely different. They need money. Not for themselves, for me. They're crying in my guest room every night. My kids are asking questions. No, I said. I'm done funding their drama. She sighed. Blake won't look for a job. Says he's processing trauma from moving. And Lauren's already picking baby names. She's not even pregnant yet. Then, quietly, almost to herself, she said, God, you're right. This is insane. What was she thinking? Meanwhile, the divorce pushed forward. Alicia, Lauren's lawyer, started dragging her feet. Lauren's tone in emails shifted from confident to desperate. At one point, she offered to settle. $50,000 in cash if I'd let her walk clean. Grant told me, you could end this quickly, but I shook my head. She moved her ex into my house, changed my locks, and wanted me to fund their new life. She gets the standard split. Nothing more. Then Thursday night, a text came from an unknown number. Blake, we need to talk man to man. I replied with one word. Pass. I'm trying to be respectful, he wrote. You're sleeping with my wife. Respect's not on the menu. She's divorcing you. She's not your wife anymore. Still legally married, genius. I'll take care of her, he said. With what money? I asked. Love doesn't need money. Babies do, I texted back. Just not from my wallet. Good luck. That triggered an essay about destiny, soulmates, and how I was blocking true love. I finally replied, you had your chance 16 years ago. You chose someone younger, richer, whatever. Now you're broke and shopping for a meal ticket. He called me bitter. No, I said, I'm realistic. Then I blocked him. The next afternoon, security called me down to the lobby of my office building. Lauren was there, pale, exhausted, hair unwashed, still wearing the same clothes I'd seen 3 days earlier. We're supposed to speak through lawyers, I told her. She shook her head. Her voice was trembling. I just needed to tell you in person. I'm pregnant. For a second, everything went silent. Cold ran down my spine. It had only been 3 weeks since her fertility surgery. Already, I asked quietly, and in that moment I realized, some people don't chase love or loyalty. They chase chaos and call it destiny. She looked me straight in the eye and said, the doctor said it's possible. I replied, congratulations. I'm sure Blake must be over the moon. She nodded. He is, but we'll need help. I said flatly no. The baby may be innocent, but the responsibility is Blake's. Her tone shifted. You'd really let a child suffer? And I said no. I'll let Blake take care of his own child. She broke down right there, loud. Messy tears echoing through the lobby. Even security shifted uncomfortably. Between sobs she whispered, I made a mistake. Several, actually. I should have talked to you first. I told her, you should have stayed faithful to your husband. She pleaded, we can fix this. I asked how. You're allegedly pregnant with another man's child and asking me to work it out? And she said, it could be like an adoption. You could be the father. One of the guards coughed to hide a laugh. I just said, Lauren, go home. To Megan's. To wherever. Just go. And she said, this isn't over. I looked her dead in the eye and said, actually it is. 2 months later, the divorce was finalized. Asset split was standard. Half of everything we built together. The house was mine before the marriage, but I bought out her share of its appreciation. Worth every cent for the peace of mind. She walked away with about $73,000. Not the jackpot she hoped for, but not nothing either. And the pregnancy? Fake. Megan later told me Lauren got her period 2 weeks after that office scene. So, no baby, just a desperate lie. As for Blake, he lasted 34 days after the divorce papers were signed. When the reality hit that there was no house, no easy life, no steady money, he bolted. Left a note, need to find myself. This isn't working. Sorry. He also took $5,000 that Lauren had set aside for baby furniture. At 2 a.m., my phone rang. Lauren sobbing. He left me. I said, okay, if that's all, we're done here. She cried. I gave up everything for him. And I said, yes, you did. She snapped, you must be happy. I said, no, I'm indifferent. Then she said it, I want to come home. I told her, that's not your home anymore. We had 15 good years, and you threw them away for Blake. And she hung up. Now, Megan and I talk occasionally. According to her, Lauren's living in a cramped one-bedroom, working overtime to keep the lights on. She tried dating again, but apparently, telling people she reversed sterilization for her ex's baby isn't a great conversation starter. Who could have guessed? Meanwhile, Blake's off in Costa Rica, posting selfies with a younger woman and captions about finding himself through art and adventure. Even Lauren's mom, Betty, called me, tried to guilt trip me. She's struggling, she said. I replied, she's an adult who made her choices. Betty said she was confused. I said, no, she was calculating. It just didn't go her way. She asked, don't you feel anything? I told her the truth, relief. Because the house is peaceful now. I repainted, replaced the dining set she tried to take, got a promotion at work, and even started seeing someone casually. Nothing serious, but she's never asked me to raise another man's kid, which is already a massive upgrade. Then came the strangest part, a Christmas card. Lauren posing beside a droopy tree with a note inside, thinking of better times. Maybe new year, new chances. I texted Megan. Did she seriously send me a Christmas card? Megan replied, yeah. She still believes you'll take her back someday. I asked based on what? Megan said, delusion mostly. She keeps saying you two were meant to be. I said we were until Blake texted. Megan told me Lauren now calls him the mistake that cost her everything. I said good. She should know. Last I heard, she's planning to move back to her hometown, cheap rent, living with her parents, letting her mom remind her every day how I'm the villain. Meanwhile, I'm here, finally at peace. Life is quiet, calm, drama-free. Exactly what marriage was supposed to be before she decided her unemployed ex's DNA was worth more than the life we'd built. She followed her heart, and it led her straight to a one-bedroom apartment and a maxed-out credit card. Do I feel bad? Sometimes, when I think about the good years. But then I remember her sitting across from me, explaining how I'd be paying to raise her ex's child while he played weekend dad. And whatever sympathy I had left disappears, because she made her choice, and I made mine. The difference? I can live with mine. Blake's still finding himself in Costa Rica. Lauren's finding out that starting over at 41 with debt and delusion isn't the romantic dream she imagined. And me, I'm finding that peace and self-respect are worth far more than any relationship built on betrayal. Honestly, that $73,000 was the best money I ever spent. What do you think of this story? Let me know in the comments, drop a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more true stories like this.